Hello, Science and Magic Yogi. My name is Maya Elena, and this is going to be a quick, less than 15-minute long pranayama or breathwork practice to help regulate the nervous system. So this obviously ties in with our heart coherence theme, and we're going to be practicing something called heart rate variability within your breathwork practice. I am super fortunate to have just studied under Richard Miller, who is a PhD and the creator of I Rest, which is a yoga nidra, the modern yoga nidra revival, if you will. And this was a breathwork practice that I learned from him. It's called, there's a lot of names for it, but I'll just I'll teach it to you. So you can find a seat that is comfortable for you. So I've chosen to sit up on a chair. You can have your legs crossed or you can have your feet on the ground. You can also sit on a block or a bolster. Another option is to lay down, but if you're a little sleepy or feel tired, you maybe want to try sitting up. But again, if you just want to take a nap, by all means, that's completely welcome. Maybe just set a timer. I digress. So coming into a seat, just start to notice a couple things in the room around you. Maybe it's a familiar space, but just noticing maybe 2 or 3 things that you haven't noticed before that you find really pleasing. Maybe a picture on the wall or the way the light hits the floor. Just orienting yourself to the space that you're in. Great. And then begin to feel either your feet on the floor, the 4 corners of your feet, or your sits bones. Supporting you here. And I do recommend kind of arching the low back just slightly, like you would in a cat-cow, right? But just arching the low back slightly. This allows the vertebrae to come into better alignment through the rest of your spine, all the way up to your head, without creating force or any sort of stiffness here, just allowing this erect spine to hold you up. You know, if you really round the low back, you kind of sink down. Do you notice that feeling? So just stacking from the low back up. You can roll the shoulders back and away from the ears, creating a little space here. And we're going to invoke the wisdom here of Richard Miller in his practice of the Control Pause breath. So pick a number 1 through 10, 1 being the least stressed you felt ever or in a long time, and 10 being the most stressed ever you felt. Pick a number somewhere in the spectrum without judging it, without assigning positive or negative, just allowing that number to come to mind, meeting yourself where you are. And you can do a 0.5 number if that's easier. Great. And just start to tune into the rhythm of your breath as it is right now, without trying to change it. Feel yourself inhale and exhale through your nose. If you have a stuffy nose, you're welcome to breathe through your mouth. Right, so just taking a temperature of stress level and natural breathing rhythm. Now, as you exhale the next time you come around, start to suspend that breath at the bottom without clenching at the diaphragm or tightening the glottis muscle in the throat. Just notice that feeling until you start to feel this pressure, and then of course inhale. And exhale. This time, Once you exhale all of the air out, count. Trying to count the seconds. And then inhale. And exhale at your rhythm. Holding at the bottom. Again, counting. And only hold until you start to want to breathe in again. So when you feel kind of a stress or a pressure or anything starts to tighten, begin to breathe in. Don't push yourself too far. So just notice if that number as you're breathing in was the same or different as the first time. Fill up your lungs and then exhale again. Coming to the bottom of your exhale, again, just breathing out all of the air and counting, seeing how long you suspended at the bottom. Natural, nothing forced here. And then as you start to feel any sort of panic, emotion, or clenching of any muscle, begin to breathe in. Beautiful. So this next time, take a breath in. We're going to start to assign some ratios here. So maybe your inhale is 2 seconds long and your exhale is 3 seconds long and you're able to suspend at the bottom for 4 seconds. Let's try that. So inhale and exhale 2, 3, and suspend at the bottom for 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll count backwards next time. So inhale, 2, 1, and exhale, 3, 2, 1. Suspend at the bottom for 4, 3, 2, 1. Awesome. Breathe in. This time 3. So 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Suspend for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Suspend at the bottom for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Again. Inhale for 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Suspend for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now I invite you to find your own rhythm with this. So again, counting per second, close to second as possible. So that ratio of extending the exhale and extending the suspension at the bottom. And maybe it's much longer. Maybe it's 7, 8, and 9. Maybe it's 10, 11, and 12. Maybe the inhale is 3 seconds and the exhale is 10 seconds. So you can find a variation that's natural for you. Maybe you time it yourself. Suspending at the bottom for as long as what's comfortable. You can, if you'd like, and the next time you're there, continue sustaining it a little bit past what's comfortable. You don't want to induce panic or fear, but naturally that will come up because our body has this innate sense to continue breathing. Involuntary breathing Right now we're voluntarily breathing as we're practicing this breath work, but we can... What happens when we stop breathing? We stop living. So our body naturally wants to keep breathing. So when we hold at the bottom for an extended period of time, this innate fear response starts to kick in. Yet, as we're voluntarily doing this, we know that all around us is this oxygen waiting for us. So it's almost this irrational fear. And can we send a signal to the body to say, hey, it's okay, by relaxing the diaphragm if it tightens, relaxing the throat if it tightens. So again, just monitoring the length of the inhale, counting, maybe adding a couple seconds longer of an exhale, suspending at the bottom, maybe pushing it a little bit further. And this will take a long time to develop comfortably. If you feel like you're having to take extra breaths, dial it back a little bit. Most of the time when someone has their oxygen levels measured at a hospital, say they're admitted to the hospital, most of the time they're getting enough oxygen. The trouble that happens is there's not enough carbon dioxide in the body, which allows the cells to absorb the oxygen. We think of carbon dioxide as this toxin in our body that we're expelling, exhaling out, but it's a critical part of our breathing, our respiratory system, to have a certain amount of carbon dioxide. And so that's what we're doing here as we hold a longer exhale and suspend our exhale of no air, aka maintaining a higher level of carbon dioxide in the body, which allows the oxygen to permeate deeper into our cells. You may have also noticed, at least in the beginning, your heartbeat changing or your heartbeat fluctuating as you exhale. That's intentionally creating heartbeat variability, as Amanda talked about in the video. If you haven't watched that, I highly recommend it. Creating heartbeat variability here helps the nervous system be more resilient. So as we're suspending the breath at the bottom and that fear response kicks in, but we're voluntarily invoking a fear response, we're working the nervous system out like you'd lift a weight for the bicep, right? Isn't that cool? So we're creating a deeper sense of heart coherence via heart rate variability via this breath, the control pause, as taught to me by Richard Miller. And of course his trainings and teachings are much more in depth, but this is a very quick overview. So repeat this a couple more times. Maybe you found a really great ratio for yourself. Everyone's is going to be different. Just inhaling and exhaling, suspending at the bottom. Suspending until you feel things clench. And if they do clench, can you relax that? Maybe suspending a couple seconds longer and then inhaling. So take one more cycle here. We're going to begin to conclude. And just start to breathe in without any expectation of numbers or timing or suspending. And exhaling the same way, just fluidly without timing or counting. And while keeping the attention here in this space, check back in with your stress spectrum. Just finding a number somewhere on that scale that, again, 10 being very, very, very stressed, 1 being not stressed at all, where you're at now. And if it's the same, maybe it's even higher or lower. Ideally it's lower, but it's okay if it's not too. We're just checking in. What is that number? And if that number is the same, or maybe it's even higher, but just checking in, how does your body feel now? How does your heart space feel? How does your breath naturally time itself now? Perhaps the exhales are a bit longer or intentional. And slowly open the eyes. Again, just start to look around in the room, reorienting yourself to this space. Again, finding a couple new things maybe you haven't noticed before or haven't in a while. Just tuning back into the physical realm. Maybe just kind of shake the shoulders or roll out the wrists, any movement that feels good. And bow to your practice, bow to the intelligence of your heart, its heart rate variability as controlled by your breath, and to the higher intelligence of our emotional bodies. Namaste.